Welcome back to Dinar Trend Tracker channel. Everyone was taken aback by this. I say everyone because the dinar and dong world has been rocked by a shocking revelation that came out of Chase Bank today. A confirmation that began as whispers in the foreign exchange offices has grown into one of the most significant developments in recent memory. In 2025, customers at Chase Bank branches around the U.S. are reporting new internal transactions involving the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong. Furthermore, a great deal of conjecture has been sparked by the timing of these revisions. Attention, viewers, what I'm about to reveal will not only shock you, but it will also alter the course of all the events we've been following this month. What does the November window mean for ordinary holders of the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong? This video will explain what Chase Bank apparently confirmed, how it corresponds with global financial movements, why it matters, and more. If you want to know why financial insiders are claiming that now is the time everyone has been waiting for, you should stick around until the end. At the outset, numerous clients of Chase Bank have noticed some strange changes showing up in their currency inquiry screens. These updates are associated with the Iraqi dinar, IQD, and the Vietnamese dong, VND. Neither were these placeholders nor availability notices from a bygone era. Customers claim that Chase Bank staff confirmed to them that the bank's internal systems are now receiving updated values, live rate placeholders, and status flags, which means that the bank is actively monitoring both currencies. Large financial institutions were hesitant to discuss or admit a revaluation process for a long time. They shied away from speculation, public comments, and questions altogether. For once, though, Chase Bank didn't duck the question. Employees, on the other hand, verified that upper-level departments were keeping tabs on these currencies and that fresh information about them was making its way through the company's systems. Things are looking up for the dinar people. In terms of size, Chase is among the top U.S. banks. Internal updates are rarely made unless there is a major development. One big question has been raised by the shock element, which is quite genuine. Why now? Things are about to become more interesting from here. Global banking systems, including those in Asia and the Middle East, have begun synchronized digital upgrade phases to ensure compliance with international currencies, coinciding with these internal Chase Bank improvements. Take Iraq as an example. Their currency is now in a position to be recognized internationally after they recently accomplished multiple stages in that direction. Iraqi banks have upgraded their software, adhered to new global standards, improved their cross-border settlement processes, and instituted stricter anti-corruption policies. This degree of planning is deliberate. It is precisely the action a nation takes when it is getting ready to make a global adjustment to the value of its currency. When the internal system of Chase Bank starts recording transactions in Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong simultaneously, Iraq will have fulfilled all of these global requirements. The kind of harmony that often comes before big financial announcements to the public is hinted at here. Meanwhile, rumors circulating within the foreign exchange sections of multiple U.S. institutions have verified that employees are being handed new instructions on how to handle clients who ask about these currencies. To put it another way, this indicates that banks are getting ready for a surge in inquiries. Unless interest is likely to skyrocket, most institutions do not develop scripts for client interactions. This suggests that banks may anticipate a great deal of public interest in the dinar and dong. The participation of Chase Bank is significant because it is one of the biggest retail banks with foreign currency divisions. It implies that the events taking place in the background are not going to materialize anytime soon. They are now doing preparations. Since this information surge coincides with the same November window that third-party analysts have been predicting for months, it is among the most believable that we have witnessed in recent memory. The neighborhood is shocked by the directness of certain Chase employees' language. Some of them even admitted that the bank has been told to keep a watch on incoming adjustments, while others said that the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong are acting more actively than usual. The banking industry has a long history of avoiding remarks like this. Something crucial, nevertheless, emerges from the uniformity of these narratives. Even though they are unable to publicly discuss the specifics, large institutions may soon begin getting internal notifications related to forthcoming modifications in foreign currency valuation that they will be unable to ignore. This is the most definitive indicator that something fundamental has changed for those who keep currencies for the long term. Any rumors about Chase Bank are unfounded. They do not carelessly acknowledge system modifications because they are a highly controlled and closely watched institution. They must have a good cause for their screens to be upgrading. Right now, everyone has a basic inquiry. The Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong will be revalued. What does this imply for that? Now we can dissect it. There are often three possible interpretations whenever a large bank modifies its internal software to track a certain currency. Either a rate adjustment is imminent, the currency is going to be held in higher reserves by the bank, or more trading of the currency is on the horizon. When it comes to currencies, banks will not waste time and software on ones that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Plus, according to reports, the timing couldn't be more congruent with Iraq's newly launched international settlement avenues. It is crucial for any nation to have efficient means of sending and receiving cross-border financial transactions, and these channels make that possible. Getting ready to change the value of its currency. This is happening at the same time in a large bank like Chase, and it is not happening by chance. The public is now paying attention to another crucial fact. November is going to be a rather exciting month, according to customers who inquired about exchange schedules. Coming from a bank employee, that is quite a daring statement. Banks are in a tight spot when it comes to secrecy, but they also can't safely make up clues. Staff members in different locations who begin to use the same terminology are a good sign that they have all been informed on the same topics. This has given the impression that Chase Bank anticipates a spike in traffic connected to currencies this month. Additionally, if they anticipate a surge in visitors, it indicates that they are bracing for a major event or, at the absolute least, a shift in focus that will capture the interest of the general public. Chase Bank is sending signals of readiness for whatever may come next, be it changes to interest rates, a change in trading status, or increased availability on public exchanges. The significance of Chase Bank's surveillance of the Vietnamese Dong warrants our attention at this time. Due to regional tensions and the need for long-term economic recovery, the VND has been devalued for decades. However, thanks to its modernizing financial system, increasing export strength, increasing trade channels, and massive manufacturing growth, Vietnam is now one of Southeast Asia's fastest-growing economies. For a long time, the Dong's international banking partners have expected a correction. The fact that Chase was keeping tabs on the Dong and the Dinar at the same time indicates that there was coordinated worldwide financial alignment. The notion that both currencies would see substantial public movement in the same time frame is further heightened by this. With Chase on board, it's safe to assume that the U.S. financial sector is getting ready to jump in on whatever transformation takes place. Big banks are notoriously slow to recognize changes, which is a crucial reminder as community enthusiasm grows. That suggests that behind-the-scenes preparations might be much further along than what the public perceives, especially if Chase Bank is already changing internal systems and briefing workers. Prior to implementing a revaluation or significant alteration to an international currency, give it some thought. Cooperation between central banks and other global financial institutions, government bodies, compliance groups, settlement systems, and exchange networks is essential. These upgrades do not occur independently. They necessitate timed transitions, synchronized timing, and meticulously opened liquidity lanes. Discussions about expanding internationally are not theoretical if Chase Bank has taken internal positioning into account. Everyone can see that they're engaged. Simultaneously, numerous holders of foreign currency have noted a growing challenge in acquiring substantial quantities of Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong in the past few weeks. Rumor has it that certain well-known vendors are experiencing behind-the-scenes supply issues, including delayed restocking and increasing wholesale purchasing costs. Restrictions or updated instructions are typically met by dealers and wholesale providers when the supply of a currency tightens, particularly just before a big banking window. This is yet another indication that goes in the same way. Things are shifting, and they're shifting right now. It becomes impossible to deny when worldwide financial systems, dealers, and banks all exhibit changes at the same time. Now is a good time to discuss how the Dinar community feels. Despite setbacks, misunderstandings, and inaccurate information, individuals have maintained a cautiously optimistic outlook for years. Today, though, the tone is different. It's more consistent, grounded, and backed by real banking evidence. Recent confirmations from Chase Bank have rekindled interest since they line up with predictions made by analysts for 2025, including a significant economic push in Iraq, a revaluation of devalued currencies around the world, and the introduction of new international trading methods. It gets very tough to ignore when all the pieces fit together like this. Long-term investors feel the same way. On this occasion, it feels genuine. We can go on to the topic of why the role of Chase Bank is more important now. Among the world's most regulated and compliant institutions, Chase stands apart. Their risk profiles are notoriously conservative, and they are quite picky when it comes to foreign currencies. As a result, market watchers take note whenever Chase deals with a limited or depreciated currency. Chase has no interest in tinkering with the Forex market. The only time they take action is when there is an obvious regulatory green light or institutional incentive. Strategic planning, rather than speculation, is indicated by their choice to closely monitor the activities of the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong. All of the current events are more significant because of this. The fact that some Chase branches have just revised their foreign currency policy as they pertain to customers is another intriguing detail. This update brings you methods for verification, suggestions for appointment scheduling, and reminders for documentation that are in line with the criteria for large volume exchange. Banks typically wait to adjust procedures until there is an anticipated change in exchange demand. Institutions often make these kinds of changes to their procedures immediately before a big public exchange wave. The timing makes it obvious why these adjustments were made, even though banks cannot openly explain. A moment of great significance is drawing near. Now that we've established that Iraq is an integral part of this plot, let's move on to it. Iraq has made great strides in recent months to improve and stabilize its banking system. The country's monetary policies, transparency, foreign reserve levels, oil trade relationships, digital banking infrastructure, and global financial compliance have all been upgraded. You can tell a nation is getting ready to boost the value of its currency when these things happen. There has been consistent emphasis on Iraq's economic growth trajectory from international organizations, and the dinar's return to the international discourse is gaining momentum. Thus, the probability of coordinated preparation is increased when Chase Bank updates its systems simultaneously. Vietnam is also going through a period of rapid change. Regional manufacturing has given way to global technological integration in the country's economy. Growth in Vietnam's gross domestic product, GDP, has been continuously higher than that of surrounding countries, and the country's trade partnerships are flourishing. For a long time, economists have said that the value of the dong does not represent Vietnam's actual financial strength. The dong might be the next target for reform if international organizations reach a consensus on this evaluation. The fact that Chase Bank is keeping tabs on it alongside the dinar lends this expectation an unparalleled air of legitimacy. The community is asking a crucial question in light of all this momentum that is rising simultaneously. Are the financial institutions getting ready for a formal exchange window? The current patterns of activity are consistent with what happens just before big financial rollouts, such as system updates, staff briefings, tightened